So it's time now to talk about a little bit of customization that we can add to our forms. We had said, hey, you know, with the YouTube ID thing, maybe I'd like a capital T on tube, maybe a capital I on D. Like there's a couple of things that you'd like to change here. So if you want to add some customization with the form models, it's really easy. Let's go back to our forms.py. We're going to add a new variable here, and this one is going to be called labels. And here we can specify, for this field, we want this label to show up. So for example, YouTube underscore ID, let's make sure that we have that in quotes. So YouTube ID. So you do that as the key, and then as the value, you just provide a little dictionary here. I could say, for instance, I want capital U, capital tube, and then capital ID, okay? So I'll go ahead and save this. Then if I come back and check out what my labels look like, if I, notice the lowercase here, reload, look at that. We're looking a whole lot fancier, right? You could totally change however you want those to be, or you could keep them as is, up to you. Now, for more customization, let's talk about ways to display forms. So if we go over to our addvideo.html, you can see that we've been using this form.as_p. So if we don't have the as_p, like we just have a regular form, this is what our form looks like. It just goes, left to right. There's no new spaces or anything. It's just all in one continuous line. So for me, in most cases, I find if you're trying to display a form, the as_p, which basically puts all the different form elements inside of paragraph tags. That's a really nice way to make your form look good quickly. Now, there are other ways that we can display our forms. So one of these is going to be as an unordered list. So if we go ahead and say form.as_, we have unordered list. So we'll go ahead and save this, reload. Now, what this does is it basically puts it out in some list elements. So if we go ahead and look at what we have here, get down to the nitty gritty. So look at this. So we have essentially these list items here. If we really wanted to be, proper here, we would in front of our tag here do like an unordered list and then an ending unordered list. Although the browser was nice enough to handle that for us to make it look, I did ordered list. So you can see what it looks like. With, numbered there, but this is supposed to be UL. Mistyped there, but that's pretty cool to see the other side of that. But yeah, this is another way that you can choose to display your form. The last one is as a table. So we're going to do as_table. And with this, we're going to have an opening and ending table tag here. So we'll do table there. And then we'll do an ending table as well. Okay, so we'll save this and reload. And you'll see with this one, now with tables, this is kind of a preference thing. What do you like? What do you not like? Because these can get really complicated really quickly, but also they can really help with customization. And if you have a certain flow that you follow, you can do that. So anyways, the basic idea is with a form, you can either have the form just display left to right by just saying form, or you can say as paragraph, as table, as unordered list. Like those are the three customization options, but those are sort of like big level customization. We can go even more detailed with our forms here. So let's go ahead and get rid of the table that we have right now. And in fact, let's just get rid of our form tag that we have here, and we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to create a for loop and manually go through each of the fields. So we're going to do our curly bracket with percentage signs, and we're going to say for field in, and let's just do our form here. And remember, we have to have an end for loop. So we'll say end for, there we go. So that's sort of our beginning and end of this. And then what we can do is now for each of our fields, we can actually specify what we would like to have happen. So the common things that you're going to see inside of a given field object is you can say like field.errors. We haven't seen any of these yet, but it's like if the user gives back some bad data, you can, through validation, return back some information saying like, oh, this username was already taken, or this URL was too long, something like that. Like you can display an error. Other things that you can do, you can display the label. So we'll do field, not field set, field dot label underscore tag. And lastly, arguably the most important thing is we can actually list out the field. So if we go ahead and just save what we have right now, so this is a for loop that's going to go through each of the fields in the form, and it's going to display them out here. We're going to say, okay, if there's errors, show those, display the label, and then finally the field. If we go ahead and save this and reload our page, well, you can see this looks like if we had just used a regular form. If we wanted to, we could go over here and turn it into like, paragraph tags, right? So we could put the little opening paragraph here, ending one down below, right? So if we got to add the ending tag there we go. Let's save this and reload. Well, look at that. It looks a lot like what we had before, right? But we can do all sorts of different things. Let's say we want the label to show up after the field, right? So I'm going to cut and then paste that down below. Let's save that and reload. Look at that. I mean, the amount of customization you can get into with your forms is amazing. And Django makes it really easy to work with. Like, so cool that we can just loop through each of these and say, okay, well, in this case, we want this thing to happen. We want that thing to happen. But for what we're working with right now, I don't think we want to get too crazy. I wanted you to see what's possible out there. But I don't think we need to get to this level of detail just yet. So let's go ahead and just move back to our regular form, and we'll say .as_p. Let's save and reload this. Okay, that's back to looking nice and pretty there. In the next one, we're going to add one more little bit here and make it so that we can actually create video objects when someone hits this button.